Hi there, and welcome to week 10 of the semester. As of today, or actually this week, we're 2/3 of the way through the semester. Your portfolio is going to be due 5 weeks from Tuesday, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But first, I just want to take a look back quickly at week 9 and comment on a few things that happened last week. Last week, you should have completed your self-assessment of your research collection and curation, and I'll be getting those grades posted by the end of the day today. So just the only grades that aren't posted right now are the grade for that and then the response groups that you just finished last night. Okay, so I will be getting those caught up as quickly as possible. And later this week, I'll actually be sending out an email to everybody sort of commenting on your status in the class right now. You'll receive one of 3 emails. The first email would be one that will just say that you're eligible right now as of week 10 for portfolio submission because you're earning a C or better in the class. A second email that you might receive would be one that says that you're currently ineligible for portfolio submission because you're earning something lower than a C in the class, but that you're within a range where you could improve your grade and become eligible for portfolio submission. Okay, so it might be for people who are maybe in like the 60% or the higher 50% at this point. And the final email that you could receive is one that would say that you are ineligible for portfolio submission and will be ineligible for portfolio submission, that you will receive a failing grade in the class and you should plan to re-register for English 104 next semester. Okay, so I'll be sending those out probably by Wednesday is my goal for that. So I want to get the 2 scores recorded that I haven't yet already, get some time to look through the grade book, and get those emails out to you. So keep an eye on your inbox for those later in the week. Last week we started our unit on the American Dream, and folks wrote some interesting things in the Writer's Toolbox and just their initial reflections about them. A lot of people wrote about how they learned about the American Dream and what that means to them, if they believe that the American Dream is really true, what type of things they think are related to the American Dream. It was actually pretty interesting. And I'm curious to see how the analytical responses go this week and next week related to those topics. So I'm really looking forward to it because a lot of you had some really interesting initial comments to make. We wrapped up response groups for your second essay last week, and this week we're going to be beginning this new unit of study. From the beginning, you did some American Dream reading last week. You're going to be doing more this week and next week and then the following week. But it's important for you from the beginning to start thinking about the topics that you might choose for this unit. And writing an essay about the American Dream is way too big, and I want you to sort of challenge yourself. It doesn't have to be about the American Dream. Sometimes people get too hung up on that. We're going to be talking about things related to the American Dream, social class, race and ethnicity, corporations, and the essay itself doesn't have to necessarily even mention the American Dream, but is something related to the concepts of the American Dream, the ideals within it, and how they play out in our society. And so keep a little bit wider range of thought in this one, because having everybody in the class write about what the American Dream means to him or her isn't really going to be a particularly successful endeavor, and that's a pretty big topic. But we'll talk a little bit more about that. Your topic proposals for this will actually be due next week. Okay, so I'm going to have some more things. I have a list of American Dream topics from past semesters, and I think I'll post that and share it with you, and I'll try to make a note for myself to do that later today or tomorrow. But when I have that, I'll bring your attention to it either by a news announcement that you'll get an email for, or in next week's video. Okay. So having finished up week 9, we're now moving into week 10, and this is where we're going to be talking about how class and socioeconomic status play into the American Dream, and how it influences the society that we live in. And so there's readings on that from here. One thing for you to note is that we've actually completed all the early chapters of They Say, I Say, where we're talking about the rhetoric and the context and all the strategies for incorporating other viewpoints into your essays. From here on out in the semester, the reading will just be related to the topic of, right now, the American Dream, because it is our final unit. So that's something that we did a little bit more reading early in the semester, and now you'll have the opportunity to step back and apply those skills that you read about and learned about there. But it could always be helpful to go back and review those chapters, particularly when you're trying to incorporate quotes and paraphrase and summary into your essays. Okay. This week, we've got a couple things going on. Some of you have signed up for revision conferences, and that's fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing you or your Google Doc or your virtual self on the Blackboard Collaborate session, and I have that schedule going. I did reopen it. There are some spaces that remained open, and I opened the forum. If you were interested in a conference and did not get one, I've reopened the forum or the sign up for that, and you can go ahead and get on there and snag one of the remaining spaces. Okay, I've actually opened that, and it should remain open until Sunday. I will most likely go in, and if it's Wednesday evening and there's an appointment open for Thursday morning, I'm going to, and nobody's claimed it yet, I may very well close it just so I don't get surprised by somebody showing up that I didn't have any forewarning. Okay, so keep that in mind. But please do, if you didn't sign up for a revision conference and you want one, please let me know and sign up. If you did sign up for a revision conference, please don't sign up for another one, but what I will do on Friday is if I have any conferences still remaining for next week, after everybody's had the opportunity to sign up for one conference, I will send an email notifying the class of any spaces that I still have available and getting responses by email to fill those remaining spots. So that would be an opportunity for people who have a revision conference already but would like a second one. This week we have a Writer's Toolbox activity, and it actually involves introductions and introductions. And what you're going to need to do here is I've posted a video that's a mini lesson about introductions, some important things for you to consider when you're writing your introduction. And so you'll need to watch that video, and you should just be able to click on the link and have it come right up for you. And I've prepared this for you to be able to get some basic information about introductions. Okay, so first watch that. The important thing from there is that you're going to choose the introduction to your first or second essay. And I guess I would suggest that you want to choose the introduction that you think needs the most work or you can make the most improvement on, but also the introduction to an essay that very well may make it into your assessment portfolio so that you can get some additional feedback and work. And you're just working on revising the introduction, and it's described here, and then you're going to respond to people. You're going to post within your group numbers again, purples. I'll have to go in and correct that. You're going to respond with just a couple quick responses to 4 people within your color groups. And there are going to be more people in your group than that, so please make sure that you spread your feedback out. If somebody already has 3 or 4 responses, go on to somebody else and give them some feedback. But they're just a couple quick things, one thing that you noted a change and what you thought was good about it, and one additional suggestion for the person to consider in revising. The other thing that we have this week is an analytical response, and this week it's the American Dream, as I've said, and what I want you to do is you're going to be incorporating your ideas and your information from last week's reading from the American Dream and this week's reading from the American Dream. So last week was sort of the more general American Dream topics, and then this week is income and social class. And so those things are going to be the topics of your conversation. And based on that, in forming your response, I'd like you to sort of thematically think about, there's one essay that we read last week about is the American Dream data live or on hold. And I've made the links for this week's discussion those 3 things. Okay, so you're going to choose which one you think comes closest to your idea about the American dream, and you're going to share your analytical response within there. When going in to set and respond to your feedbacks with your follow-up to your classmates with your follow-up responses, please start first within where you posted yours so that you can read what other people have to say to you. You can comment to others, and then go ahead and, if you are so inclined, go into some of the other groups, particularly if not as many people posted to your choice as expected. Okay, so that's how it's working this week. You should be continuing to add resources to the research collections on the American Dream. I haven't heard from anybody with new topics or other topics that should be in here. So right now we're continuing with the one that I have set up here, and please continue to add to those along the way. The only other thing I wanted to alert you to, and I'll be adding one more piece of information to it a little bit later on, but the portfolios, I mean, we're really going to go into depth in portfolio discussion and things, or focus on that in the 13th week of the semester. However, I have updated the portfolio documents for you. I finally got the final versions from the English department after we revised them this semester, and so I was able to share those with you. If you're interested, you can take a look at the requirements, the formatting, information about the cover letter, the scoring guide. I also have some sample portfolios from students from past semesters. Keeping in mind that these are actually from students in English 100, which is a little bit different than English 104. We're going through this transition period with the classes on campus, so a lot of the essays in these portfolios are a little bit shorter, or obviously there'll be different topics because these are portfolios from a range of classes, not just my class. So they're from people across the board. I will be adding and go into more detail. I don't want to get too much into it right now. I'm going to add a video where I sort of talk you through all the different documents and sort of describe portfolio submission overall. And then that way, hopefully answer most of the questions I might have. But I just wanted to alert you to the fact I've had a few people ask me about portfolios lately, and that information is now on the Moodle site. I think that's it for this week. I'm looking forward to the week ahead. If you have questions, please let me know. I'll look forward to seeing you, a lot of you, in conference, and have a happy week 10. Take care.